I painted my nails for the first time this year, like a few weeks ago, and it's my signature really deep dark red, and I'm like in love with them. I love it so much. I forgot how much I love having this colour on my nails. Also, this past week and for a few weeks, my nose has been a bit stuffy. It's gone away now, like it's not as full on as it was. And last week I kept getting like full body chills and goosebumps, and then getting really, really cold and then really, really hot. Also, last week I kept sneezing, which is weird because I don't really sneeze. I know no one really sneezes that often, but yeah, it was weird, and I thought I was coming down with something because I was getting all these symptoms, but I never actually got ill, and now my throat is kind of really dry this week, but I'm not. It's like I'm on the precipice of getting ill, but I never actually get ill. I just get symptoms and then different symptoms. But it's like, you know, you're not actually ill, but you're like, what the hell is going on? And I started getting these TikToks of these spiritual girlies, and they kept talking about like the spiritual flu and the energies and how it all ascending or progressing on like this timeline, and there's energy shifts on Earth, and people are like getting spiritual flu because of the energy shifts. And I was like, maybe it's just because my friend the other day was like, oh, something's going around, and I was like, it's probably that. But we were both talking about how we were getting the symptoms, but we weren't actually like ill. We were just getting like a few symptoms. I didn't mention the spiritual flu thing because I just thought she was gonna look at me like I was an absolute idiot. Don't know what I believe in. It's probably just the thing going around, but I'm not actually ill. I'm just getting like one symptom at a time. It's really weird. Anyway, also last week I kind of had a spiral listening to myself back on my last video and hearing how I pronounce words, especially like then. I keep mispronouncing then and saying like then or whatever, and I'm like, every time I edit and I listen to myself say then, I want to punch myself in the face because yeah. And I went through this whole spiral moment of like how I pronounce words and how I mispronounce every other word and how I wish I had better pronunciation, and then I made up this whole plan in my head about how I want to start reading out loud when I read to like get pronunciation down. And now I'm just really hyper aware of my pronunciation, and yeah. So if I sound like I have a stuffy nose, it's the spiritual flu. If I sound really weird and like I'm pronouncing words weirdly, it's because I'm over aware of how I pronounce my words now. And I'm going to try not to move around as much because apparently I move around a lot because in editing the mic always sounds so weird, and I think it's maybe because I just shift a lot when I talk, so I'm gonna try and just be still for the sake of the audio quality. So yeah, anyways, let's get in. Also, before we get into it, I mention this every video, but I am dyslexic, and I just want you to know that I script these things, and when I was writing this script, I spelt flu with an E on the end, because leaving it with just a U looked so wrong to me, but then seeing it with an E on the end still looked so wrong. So then I just went back and spelt it normally, and it looked normal again. So I decided that it was just FLU was the correct spelling, but that's the kind of BS that I have to put up with being dyslexic. I just want it to be known. Anyway, I digress. We're here because I spoke a little bit about control at the end of the last video and how I need to let it go. I want to explore that a bit more because it does affect me a lot, and to the point where I overthink about every little thing that could happen. And I was journaling the other night, and I realised, and I wrote about how every scenario and how every possible outcome makes me anxious. Like, it doesn't matter if it's a good or a bad outcome, it still makes me anxious. Which I know sounds so bad or strange, because why would good outcomes make me anxious? But I really can't explain it. I guess I'm going to try and explain it now in this video, but if you have no idea what I'm saying, just know that I don't either. I think, and this might come off as so bratty and ungrateful and awful and such a first world problem, because yes, I know I have certain privileges, and yes, I know I don't have it that bad at all, but overall, I think I'm so used to just things being just okay or situations turning out to be a bit meh. I think I've always had such high expectations and wants in my life that when things don't go the way I want them to, and they don't have this like great, big, awesome, amazing out there outcome, yes, 7 times out of 10, it's not terrible, but it is also just wildly disappointing. And wow, why did I even try this in the first place? Or, it just makes me feel a bit silly or embarrassed or confused because I'm thinking, well, I tried my best. I pushed myself outside of my comfort zone and I had a really good feeling about this. And the whole experience just turned out to be a bit meh and I could have just stayed home. So even though that's frustrating, I think I've kind of gotten used to it. And so any sort of change to that, even though I don't enjoy it, is kind of like a threat to my equilibrium. And it kind of makes me spiral a lot and overthink things because I keep asking myself these crazy what ifs that I cannot know and I have no business knowing because it's for the future me to experience and work out, not for current present me to figure out before I even get there. But I will just bury myself in these questions and in these crazy what ifs and get myself really worked up because I'm thinking, well, what if it goes badly? What if this happens like it did last time? What if I can't do it? What if I mess it up? What if I don't enjoy myself? Or what if I feel uncomfortable? And then I start thinking about what could happen if it actually goes right, if it actually goes good. And I start thinking, well, what if I gain too much attention? Or what if I get too many opportunities and I can't handle them? What if I get too overwhelmed by what's happening? Or what if I mess up the good things? Or what if I can't handle that much responsibility? Or what if these opportunities make me lose myself? Just really ridiculous things that I just automatically think, I guess, almost subconsciously, that kind of just ruins an idea or a situation and my life. And then my nervous system just becomes absolutely fucked by the idea of doing anything that could bring about any sort of outcome, which I know sounds silly because everything you do has an outcome, but I hope you know what I mean. I guess my brain just goes into overdrive at trying to figure out every possible outcome and how to overcome it, which is so sweet of her for trying to do that for me, but also it is ruining my life. And she needs to stop. It almost makes me think of like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness when he's just slipping into all of these different alternative universes, which, by the way, is honestly my nightmare. This is a bit of a sidetrack, but when I was little, I used to hate any movie where the main character was transported to a magical land or like a different land because I would put myself in their shoes and be so frightened at the thought of being alone in one of those weird worlds with weird creatures and not knowing how to get home or even knowing if I could get back home. I think that's like was one of my biggest fears as a child, was just like not knowing how to get home. Which is honestly so funny now as well because now I absolutely love the movies that I used to hate. The Labyrinth or Return to Oz. I love those movies now. They bring me so much comfort and I actually really love surrealism and just those kind of films in general. I think they're so beautiful and comforting. But when I was a kid, I couldn't do it, especially Alice in Wonderland. I cannot for the life of me watch any version of that film. Even now, still to this day, there is no amount of money you could pay me to watch any version of Alice in Wonderland. For some reason, Alice in Wonderland just terrified and frightened me so much when I was little, and not in the way like a horror movie might, but it just made me have this like such a deep sense of uneasiness and just not a good vibe at all. It really just unsettled me deeply to my core, and it honestly still does now. Like even when I'm thinking about it, I don't get a good vibe from it at all. I don't know why. I feel like that girl on TikTok that sometimes she comes up in my FYP and she makes those videos where she's like, hey guys, I'm a psychic, or like, hey, I'm a medium and here are some things that give me bad vibes. And like, I can't tell you why Wonderland gives me a bad vibe, it just does. Anyway, Sorry for that tangent, but my point is I spiral a lot about every outcome, and I think that's really unhealthy of me. I feel like every day is a struggle and it's an effort just to remain present and not get too ahead of myself or think back to what happened and then what could happen again. What I found is just taking action is the best remedy, honestly, and the thing to do to combat these thoughts and this thought pattern. It's just doing what you want and focusing on why you're doing it, and your feelings and your emotions in the moment is the main thing. Just not giving yourself a chance to think about it or worry about it or trying to manipulate where it's going to take you or what the outcome will be or what others might think. Just trying to place as much as your energy as you can on focusing on being present within the process and focus on your love and your enjoyment of the thing that you're doing. And it can be quite difficult. I think every day is just something that it's something I have to remind myself to do and just kind of gently tell myself that it's not that deep, just do the thing. We cannot predict the outcome of everything we do. We cannot predict what will happen in the future because of the actions we take in the moment. So what's the point of even trying? And yeah, it's a safety mechanism and it's a coping mechanism, but it sucks the joy out of the present moment. I would like to say that it gets easier with time, but I think it really does depend on the person. And I also think, for me at least, it comes back to that old saying of healing being non-linear. And in life, you know, you're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days, you're going to have alright days. It's just about catching yourself in that spiral whenever you can, whether it's been a few seconds, a minute, an hour, just catching yourself in the moment whenever that is for you and thinking, right, I'll just do it. I'll just do it because I want to and I enjoy it, and I'm not going to think about the outcome or what it might mean because that's not there yet. And just enjoying the process and being with it, and just coming back to the idea that you never really control the outcome of anything. You can't control how people are going to perceive you or what you create. You're never going to be able to control the reaction to you, what you create. You're never going to control how the world sees you or reacts to you. I know in the grand scheme of things, of course, there are measures or like safety procedures or like things that you can do in order to bring about a certain outcome or in order for people to perceive you in a certain way. But nothing is ever really promised, nothing is set in stone. And honestly, when I think about it and take a step back, it's a concept that I choose to embrace and take comfort in. I think my main fear and underlying issue that brings about all of these thoughts and what ifs is not trusting myself enough. I definitely have a confidence issue right now that I'm trying to work on and confront every day. Not in a mean way. I know the word confront sounds so violent or aggressive, but just in the way that I want to work with it and listen to it so I can actually help myself grow and bloom, and just really watering my self-belief and confidence like a garden and tending to my flowers and my plants. I really want to create this stable foundation within myself so that when I do fall or have a bad day, which inevitably I will because that's life, but it won't feel like the end of the world or like I did anything wrong because I've always got me and I've always got self-confidence, no matter the outcome of things. That's really just the goal for me right now. And like I said, I think the biggest thing that's helping me right now is just doing the things that I want to do, even when my brain tells me it's going to be bad or it might have a scary outcome. If it's something that excites me or lights me up inside and lights me up in the moment, then I'm going to chase that feeling of joy and be in the moment with it as long as I can. I'm not going to make myself spiral. I'm just going to try and enjoy the ride and lean into the comfort of not knowing and not having anything set in stone, and knowing and believing that whatever I need in this moment will find me, or I will be capable enough to give it to myself. So yeah, that's my little spiel on control. Just working on having fun with things and being creative and going for things that I want to do and trying to not think so much about the future. I also realised last time I don't think I gave you a Teen Wolf update, which I apologise profusely for any offence or harm that I caused because of that. I love a routine, and I'm sorry if I threw you off yours. The truth is, and I'm going to hold your hand when I say this, I've kind of gone off Teen Wolf. I know. Look, I still love it and I'm still determined to finish it, but I do this thing where, and maybe this is just me having a really awful attention span, but I do this thing where I really love the earlier seasons of a show and I get settled in how things are. I love the characters, the vibes, the villains, the storylines. And then further down the line and further we get into the seasons, things change, which obviously they have to keep it interesting. And I don't hate it at first, I still enjoy the show, but I always get to a point at around the 5th or 6th season of the show where it's just not the same, or it doesn't grab me like it once did. It also just feels like at around this mark, the storylines kind of drag, which is weird because the storylines tend to get so wild and crazy the more a show goes on. I'm guessing because, like, as a show gains traction and popularity, the writers get cleared for more seasons. They maybe go a bit crazy or they try to keep upping the tension with crazier storylines. But for me, they just seem to drag or go on for a bit too long. So yeah, where I left off right now is it's still with the Dread Doctors. I don't know, it's not my favourite villain. Also, I hate Theo so much. Catch me on the I hate Theo hill right next to Styles and Liam, and we're gonna stay there for life because I really can't stand Theo so much. Like Theo and Liam, sorry, I feel like were my heated rivalry as well. But also I still hate him. Yeah, that's my Teen Wolf update. Sorry if it wasn't the update that you were hoping for. Yeah, but I don't know, I just feel like it's dragging. I kind of want the storyline to end. I am going back to it. I just need a break from it so that I can like get it out of my system for a bit, I guess, and then like get invested in stuff again. So yeah, last night I started watching this show called Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrel, which I also don't know if it's Norrel or Norrel. I think it's Mr. Norrel, but there's this one character in the show that always says it really over dramatically, and he always says Mr. Norrel, and it lives in my head rent free. First of all, I got the book of this from a charity shop a few years ago and I attempted to read it and I dipped out real quick because I think I managed about 3 pages before I gave up. I'm not a quitter. I am, however, as mentioned earlier, dyslexic, and that book was not only so thick, but it had the absolute smallest font ever, which is just not a good thing for me at all. It's quite near impossible for me to read a book like that with such small font. So yeah, I didn't want to do that to myself. But I really enjoyed the first episode, honestly. It's basically about this magician called Mr. Norrel, and who proves to this society of old white men that he can do magic, even though they claim that no one can perform magic anymore, despite the fact that they call themselves magicians. Yeah, that bit got me. Anyway, he performs this great act of magic, shutting the annoying men up, and then he travels to London to try and contact the government or the army or something. I'm sorry, I'm really not good at history and knowing who people are, but he basically is on this mission to prove that magic can be respectful and respectable, and he wants to help them with the war because it's set in the era during the Napoleonic War. In the first episode, Mr. Norrel is so relatable to me. I don't think I've related more to a fictional character before. He's just this awkward, grumpy man who hates socializing, hates parties, doesn't really like people, just wants to be left alone to read. And honestly, I feel seen by that. There's this great scene that really made me laugh. He's basically forced to go to this party by his footman, who I refer to as his emotional support friend. But anyway, he's on the stairs of this party, and these stairs are just absolutely packed with people talking and drinking and shouting, and he looks so utterly uncomfortable and quite frankly disgusted by the crowd and the noise. He is pushing past all of these people and he sneaks into this empty room and he goes right to the bookcase and just starts reading this random book, which I found so funny and kind of cute. And yeah, it's like when you're awkward at a party, so you have to locate the pet and you just start like hanging out with the dog or the cat. But instead of the family pet, he just located the books, which just made me laugh so much. Also, the two the main characters haven't met yet. Mr. Norrel and Jonathan Strange haven't met yet, so I'm looking forward to how they're going to react to each other, because Jonathan seems like this kind of jolly guy, a golden retriever, if you will, whereas Mr. Norrel is definitely more black cat energy, so I'm excited to see where the series is going, and I'm excited to see how they're going to react to each other and be with each other, because I'm pretty sure that, yeah, what is alluded to, that Jonathan is this other great magician that it is going to bring back magic to England. There's only 6 or 7 episodes, I think, of it, so I'll probably be back on my Teen Wolf grind after that very soon. Don't worry, guys. I know you're all on the edge of your seats, wanting to know my Teen Wolf thoughts and opinions, and don't worry, I will give them to you very, very soon, I promise. But yeah, that's me right now. My voice is incredibly scratchy right now. I feel like you can hear it. I'm so sorry about that. I will stop talking now and drink some water, and yeah, I will yap to you very soon.